base layers and how to set up a color story and apply flat color to each base layer of your drawing. So as you can see, I have my style inspiration, I have my drawing, and then down here I have my color reference photos. I merely went on to Pinterest and I typed in color palette, and you could type in color palette gold, blue, if you have a very specific idea. And I went through and I found images of color references that I think could work for the mood tone of my work. And I just merely drag and drop those references into my folder on my desktop. I have my folder open here so that you can see. And then I need to set up my color palette. So I'm going to grab the image and I'm going to insert it here. And you want to keep them kind of all together and out of the way. And you want to just, you always want to title every layer. And I just put CR for color reference. And then I have one more here that I want to add. They're very similar. And I'm kind of coming up with a color story based on my character. My character is lost in thought. They are a little melancholy, subdued. So I don't want super aggressive colors, but I also am looking at my style image and how they use like hot pink for these extreme highlights, whereas everything else is kind of cool colors, and then there's that hot warm color. So I'm looking at subdued warm colors and cool colors here. How can I create this narrative about my character's feelings, personality, and role? He's a sage, he's thoughtful, he's wise. He's not necessarily the sage who's orating. He's the thoughtful sage, lost in his own thoughts. Once you've placed it, you hit enter and you're ready to start setting up your base layers. Now, I always start with skin. Now, you can pick up a skin color from your photo reference, right? So there's that skin color. But I felt like the skin tone, these are the tones I'm going to use in my shading, but for the base layer, I decided to just pick up this brown because it was part of this color family. This is not true to his skin tone. He's much paler, and when I shade over it, I'm going to bring those pale colors on top of this base layer. So this will mostly be covered up or become shadow, but you can do either. You can use a color from your color story, or you can pick up a color in their skin tone. Try to stay as true to their skin tone as possible. We want to be honoring and sensitive to people's skin tones. And if that, and I even feel like maybe, hey, I want to change this, I can come here, I can pick up this kind of like medium base tone in his skin tone. Now this photo is turned down, so I'm going to turn it back up, and I can pick up that color. Let's go right there. Okay, and then say I want to just turn that off and I want to change this. So if you put down a color and it's not right, don't worry. All you need to do is make a new clipping mask. Ooh, it's not letting me. Sorry guys, I'm not clicked onto my palette, so it's not my tablet, so it's not giving me that option to right click. There we go. All right, create clipping mask. And then all I need to do is take that color and put it there. This is awfully pink, and I might tone it down a little. So again, finding that base color will it takes some time for skin. I might come in here and see what this more neutral beige kind of looks like. Okay, that feels more akin to his skin tone. So without it, it's too dark. With it, I could just put that color in with the paint bucket and clipped it. So now I don't have a problem with that skin tone. It feels right to me. Okay, so now once you've got your skin tone, you got to start building your other base layers on top of it. So the next thing I did was I did hair, and the hair I'm picking up this brown down here, and then lips, and it's gonna kind of change the color. I picked up the lip color from here. One thing you all struggled with was separating the eyes. I want to be very clear. You're going to do the white of the eyes as one layer, okay? And then so far, if you look, I've been drawing under my outline layer, but when I look at my inspiration, there really isn't any outlines. And so when I was doing the eye, I started working above my outline layer, knowing it would disappear eventually. And yours might stay or disappear depending on your style. So I filled in the irises above the outline because I didn't want the outline to show. Then I added the pupil and detail lines on a new layer. And then I did an eyeline for that final layer. And if we come over here, if I take this off, you can see I actually use that skin tone right here. So what I think I'll do is go just one skin tone darker, and I'll turn this back on, but I'm gonna just bring it down a little, and then so this color isn't the same anymore. And let's see, maybe I'll go right here. There we go. Okay, so constantly making sure you've got that skin tone base correct. Okay, so my eye line, and I started picking up the blues that I'm gonna have in the color. So always thinking about the color story. Then next I went back under my drawing layer, and I started to get the hat and the hat top. So I had the hat on the inside and the hat on the top. So anything that has a different color has a different layer. Now for most of this, I know later after I start putting down my shading, I'm going to erase so much of my outline and replace it with dimensional shading. But for now, I really just need these outlines to kind of show me where to lay down my base layers. The final base layer that I have done next is my eyebrows. So let's find my eyebrows. And I put them under because I wanted to keep these parts of the outlines in my final drawing, because if we look over here, we could see this similar style here, okay? So things I still need to do inside the nostril, the inside of the ear is going to be slightly different, and I need to move my way down to the shirt being a layer, fingernails being a layer, the different parts of the coffee cup, the main bowl, the handle, the inside, the T. The steam I will do separately in my shading, and then I'll need to do all my books. And I'm going to continue using this color palette. Remember, you can use the picker tool just to pick up the color you're working with. And experiment and have fun with color in doing this, but be sure that you are always on the correct base layer and that you've named it. Otherwise, it's going to get so confusing when we go in for shading. And remember to think carefully about, should the layer go below your drawing layer? Or in the case of my eyes, should you build those base layers on top of the drawing layer? And that is going to be those artistic choices that you need to make based on how you think you're going to proceed with your shading. And what, do you have a lot of outlines in your inspiration drawing, or are they going to fall away? Those choices are the ones you're going to need to make as we go along with this process.